Reignite your intuition to grow your intuitive self. This is episode number 27, where I talk not much, but I got the opportunity to interview the beautiful Selina Man Karlson, and I am so thrilled she is in my podcast. To let you know, my name's Angela and I'm your host of the show and a highly intuitive person by birth who never lost her connection. I am the expert in supporting you, regaining your intuition and living a fulfilled and much easier life with it. Trusting fully your intuition takes time and is a very individual process. I share with you my knowledge and strategies I have developed to support yourself on a daily basis in any situation. By signing up to my freebie, you can support yourself to connect with your intuition. Go to angelahack.com/en27 and don't forget to check it out. Why? Selina got the beautiful offer and every way to contact her is there and is absolutely ready for you to click on the links and go ahead and meet the beautiful Selina Karlson, which is right now in my interview. Today I'm having a special guest for my podcast. It's Selina, and I have met her on my very first English official speech at Ignite in Zurich. It's already a few years ago. Isn't it 2 years or something?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. I remember that Selina had a marvelous speech together with a friend, and she can scream like nobody else. Welcome, Selina, and thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to hear very interesting stories from you.
Thank you for having me, Angela. It's great to be part of your podcast. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, do you have an idea how excited I am? I'm super nervous because I really like what Selina is doing. But first of all, I'd like her to introduce herself to you listeners.
Sure. Where do I start? Well, actually, I'm the founder of Curious Courses, where I help people to discover new skills, hobbies, and passions. And I help people nowadays overcome procrastination and move forward with their dreams. I'm a rapid transformational therapist where the underlying is hypnotherapy. So at the moment, I have two sides to Selina.
Wow, well, actually, don't you have three sides? Isn't there somebody around all the time, a little boy?
Well, actually, now that you say I have multiple sides, and yes, I can be stretched in a number of different directions. I have a little boy who is 3 years old, who keeps me very, very busy. It is like it's a full-time job in itself.
That's why I wanted to mention it, that you have a business, or actually two businesses, and you have a family life, and just so people know, Selina's doing loads.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't sleep at night because the little guy keeps me awake. But it's okay. I'm managing my expectations, and I think that helps me lean towards more happiness rather than more disappointment sometimes.
Okay, that's very nice. And I'm following your business journey a bit, and I know that there were quite some changes. Could you please tell the listeners how they happen, or how that's going on, and if there's any intuition happening with it?
Sure. Let me start at the beginning, really, because I started my Curious Courses business back in 2010. And I'd actually worked for a bank, one of the big banks, for many, many years, 13 years in total, doing a number of different things, starting in IT, becoming a client advisor, and ultimately a business manager for compliance. So I've seen lots of departments, lots of corporate life. And in 2009, if you recall, it was the financial crisis years. And my job situation changed. And it was a bit of a shock. I wasn't expecting the job change. And so when it happened, I felt like a carpet had been tugged from underneath me. And I was just lying on the floor going, oh my God, what just happened there? Now, I actually still had a job. So let's say I was one of the lucky ones, but it wasn't a job situation that I had initiated myself. So I really wasn't very happy and I didn't want it. And I remember thinking, there's got to be more to life than work. And I remember telling a good friend of mine, and he said to me, well, if you don't know what you want to do, why don't you just take the job but do it 80%? So I thought, okay, let me consider that. And I come from London, and part-time work isn't as available as in Switzerland. So I thought, well, let's go in, let's see what happens. And I was almost ready to walk away. If they didn't give me 80%, I was ready to walk. And surprisingly, they just said, sure, take it as 80%. So then I thought, okay, well, now I really have to do the work. But I was glad, actually, because it gave me time to think about what it was that I wanted to do. And at that point, I expanded my network. I thought, I'm going to go out and just meet people. I joined lots of different groups, meetup groups, professional women's groups, all sorts of different groups, just to see what was out there. I had no clue, because I realized that I wasn't very in tune with myself. All I'd been doing was working. So basically work, home, work, home, work, home. So I really didn't know who I was. I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't listening to my body. There was a lot of me that was just very disconnected. So I used this time, not being aware of this, but used this time to explore and discover who I was again. And at this point, I just thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to find out what I'm passionate about and go and study it. And then I thought, oh my God, I have absolutely no clue where to start. So I decided one day when I was walking to work, I suddenly had this, okay, I guess, Angela, you would say this is where my intuition kicked in. My mind was clear, and suddenly I had almost like an insight, and it was an insight, where I thought to myself, you've met lots of small business owners. You want to find out what you're passionate about. Why don't you set up some short courses, and then you can find out what you're passionate about? And I remember exactly where I was. I was walking down by the river. It was very quiet. My mind was clear. And I was so excited. I got to work and I called my husband and I said, you know what? Why don't I just set up some short courses myself, and then I can find out what I'm passionate about? And I remember him saying, yeah, why not? Go ahead, try it out. So I did. I followed that insight. And I think this is probably one of the very first times when I started following my insights more. And it just opened up a whole new world to me. And that's how Curious Courses was actually started. I started it to find out my own passion, but very quickly I realized that I love learning new things. I love getting people together, and the journey started from there. Now, 7 years later, I've been on this journey, tried a lot of different things, had a bit of a roller coaster with it as well. And I'd like to share with you my recent journey into the new work that I'm doing. And that, I would say, is really where intuition has played a big, big part. Now, over the years, I've attended many courses, so I've become more in tune with myself. I listen to myself more. And also having my own business, I can work at my own rhythm. I go with what's right. I meet a lot of speakers. I feel if it's right for me or not. I feel if it's right for my audience or not. So there's a lot of ways that I can actually hone my intuition skills these days. But what I would say was for my new business, and let me tell you about that, let me say I was guided. It wasn't a fluke. It was definitely guided. So I've been following a writer called Brian Weiss for many, many years. He wrote a very famous book called Many Lives, Many Masters, where he's a psychiatrist and he's hypnotizing people to help them overcome their issues. And what he found was people started regressing into past lives. Now, he didn't believe this. And he thought, can't be. But he found that still the people's problems were being solved. And I just love his books. He's got a very gentle way of writing, and I've read all of them. And last year, he was speaking in Rome for 3 days. And I just thought, wow, he's in his 70s. I should really go. I would love to see him speak. And the funny thing was, I didn't know about it, but a very good friend of mine told me about it and said, let's go, let's go, let's go. So we signed up. And actually, before the seminar itself, she couldn't actually make it. So I was going by myself. And I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll go by myself. And when I was there, I just remember thinking, wow, this is amazing work. He has a wonderful, kind nature, and it just oozes across. He was speaking to 500 people, and I just thought, wow, it's so wonderful to listen to him. And when I came back from that seminar, I remember thinking, I really want to go deeper with this work. This really feels right for me. So I started, this was on the Sunday, I got back on the Sunday and I started looking up things and what trainings there were. And I came across a lady called Marissa Peer. And I'd known her because my friend who had told me about Brian Weiss had actually trained with her a couple of years before to become a rapid transformational therapist. And I'd had a number of sessions from her. So I knew how powerful this work was. Now, the Marissa Peer workshop was just 2 weeks away from that point, and it was in London, and it had a substantial investment component to it. And I remember thinking, wow! And I told my husband, and he said to me, well, why don't you just sleep on it and think about it? Don't make any rash decisions. And that night I went to bed and I say, look, if I'm meant to go, just give me a sign. Now, 2 weeks away, you can imagine I had a lot of things already booked up in my calendar. And suddenly, the next morning I woke up and there was an email. And one of the things in that 2 week period had cancelled. And I suddenly thought, oh, hold on. And then I looked through my calendar and I realized that everything else I could cancel quite easily, quite reasonably. And I thought, maybe that's the sign. So I booked, and 2 weeks later I was in London and studying. And then I thought to myself, and I went not thinking that this was going to be a career change or anything. I just went thinking because I was so interested and passionate and wanted to know more. But on the course itself, they did an exercise and they said to me, jump into the future 1 year and see what you're doing. And when I did that, I saw myself doing this work more than actually Curious Courses. And that surprised me because Curious Courses has been a big part of my life. Curious Courses is still there, but this work was really the main bulk of what I was offering. And that shocked me a bit. I thought I really did not expect that. And when I was on the flight on the way home, I really had, let's say, another insight. And I thought, this is what I want to do. This is where my passion is. This is where I want to go deeper. This is where I want to help people. So very long story, Angela, but when talking to you made me realize that as the years have gone by, I've become more in tune with myself and I've listened to myself and I know what feels right and what doesn't.
I just love it because especially when you mentioned that people go back to other lives before, which sounds so weird. That's what I try to explain, how much impact the past has to our present. And there is strings that we can let go. And I love hypnotherapy because some people are tired of talking and speaking, and they're just fed up with whatever analyzes they can give with speaking at words and whatever. And I think it's absolutely amazing. And when I listen to you, it's like your journey took a while through Curious Courses to get what you really want to do. But that's how life goes. And that's what I love about it. And you're so passionate about it. And I totally see you in that because I know you personally, as we live both in Zurich, we were able to meet. So I see you completely in that because it's beautiful that you can support people on a level. They don't have to be too much brainy, I would call it. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, now I'm amazed by what the subconscious mind holds. There's so much information there. And yeah, you can really let go of things that, although you know at a rational level, your subconscious mind is still holding on to. So it's time to let go of things. And people always say that they just feel lighter, they feel freer. And of course, because they've let go of some big bags, they're no longer holding on to that baggage. Now, I'm really amazed by what this work can do. And I've been to it myself, so I'm not just saying it because I do it, but I know what an effect it has on me. It has such a positive effect on me. I'm much calmer these days. I don't worry so much. Yeah, life just feels easier.
It gives you a special glow. You didn't have that when we met the first time. It wasn't there then. And that's what our journey to the soul is important, combined with body and mind, of course, but we focus very much on body, mind, and forget the soul. And that's the subconscious part. And I think it's brilliant that you found that way, and that you had to listen, not always consciously on your intuition, but obviously it spoke to you clearly. And it's fun that it was beside the water. That's what I tell my clients very often. Go close to water. Water is running. And it's in a flow, it brings your thoughts in a flow, or even flying them away, kind of. That's good. Great. Oh, I'm so excited. So do you do that now offline, online, or both?
Both, actually. It's possible to do it online. It's as effective as being in person. So both are as effective.
I can prove that. A friend of mine is a hypnotherapist in Scotland. And he was wondering if it works online, and he asked me if I would try it, and I can assure it works perfectly fine. So I will make sure that I have everything online underneath this podcast, that people can contact you, because I know you and I know that you're a beautiful soul, and I'm sure you're doing a marvelous job. I'm actually keen to trying it out because I'm someone who wants to do everything all the time. So, thank you very much, Selina, for being here, for being my guest. And to all the listeners, make sure to check Selina out. She is not only very charming and has a big heart, she is super cool and perfect in what she's doing. Thank you very much for being here, Selina.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to be part of it. And good luck with all your podcasts.
Thank you very much. Are you ready for your ignition? Yes? Then go to angelahack.com EN27 and sign up for the freebie with the link you find there. And don't forget to check out Selina's stuff. She got links there too. Thank you for listening to Reignite Your Intuition. If you like my podcast, please come back, tell friends, and feel free to share with others how they can access the podcast.